to another career webinars. My name is Mirta Aguirre. I'm the head of employability at Virtual Internships. And today we have an expert insight series. That means we brought an expert for you to reflect on a very interesting topic. And today, what our expert is going to share is about 5 essential skills to navigate future uncertainty with confidence and drive career success. And for that, we have Willem, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, I hope.
Spot on.
And
10
let's
points.
discover who our speaker is. So Willem is a recognized entrepreneurial thinking expert and winner of Startup Mentor of Year 2023. With more than 25 years of experience, he has helped thousands of people transform their careers and lives using practical skills that work in today's disruptive world. He's a top 50 global thought leader on careers and author of Side Hustle Success. This is a book. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what it is about. And his proven methods have helped unemployed individuals start profitable businesses in just 5 weeks and enable sales professionals to double their income. So Willem knows a lot, and today in particular, he will tell us a little bit about the following. So, in today's world where AI is changing how we work and entire industries are shifting overnight, traditional career advice simply isn't enough anymore, right? To succeed, you need to develop the practical life and work skills that make you absolutely invaluable in any role, any company, in any situation. In our session, you'll discover 5 essential skills that will allow you to become an architect of possibility, someone who can adapt when plans change, bounce back from setbacks stronger than before, and find creative solutions when others see only problems. So I really like this idea of architect of possibility. So without further ado, welcome, Willem, to our webinar today.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for having me. It's an honor to do this with virtual internships. And hello to everyone. This is going to be very interactive, so it's not one of those boring things where you're just going to sit and listen. Be ready to interact on the chat and get crack-a-lackin'. We will have ample time for Q&A afterwards as well. If you have any chat or any questions, just pop them in the chat, and Mirta and Damien will take a look at it and make sure that we don't miss anything. Great. With all of that said, everybody can see my screen. Mirta, just give me a thumbs up if you can. Okay, I love that. Great. Well, today we're going to talk about 5 essential skills to navigate future uncertainty with confidence and drive your career success. And I think it's a timely topic considering how the rise of AI and automation might impact and influence all of your lives and that of your loved ones as well. So you're in the right place today if you want to have better academic success, more resilience, creativity, as well as increase your employability. And also you're looking for a way to deal with your stress and uncertainty. Because I'm sure all of us go through stress. If you feel stressed most of the time, just pop yes in the chat. Go like, yeah, that's me. You know, I feel burnt out. As Mirta has mentioned before, this is me, Startup Mentor of the Year 2023, top 50 thought leader for 3 years, and Lean Startup top 50 thought leader on careers, been an entrepreneur for 25 years. And I'm a global speaker on leadership, entrepreneurship, and innovation. So this is all I do. This is my latest book, Side Hustle Success. There we go as well. This was written to create practical, executable, relatable entrepreneurship education to anybody, irrespective of your background or education level. So that is simple and easy, and we can do all of that. So when I don't do this, I do this. So I go into townships in South Africa, those from Lesotho, Kenya, and other places in Africa with be familiar with that scene, the number one. So I go in there with this pretty face. Luckily, it's only a face for radio. And I get an unemployed person to start a profitable business in 5 weeks without external funding, any business, industry, or sector. So we've effectively reduced the time to create a job through self-employment and entrepreneurship to 5 weeks. We reduced the cost by 20 times, and we can do it at scale. So if your country's president had to call and like, Willem, please give me 5,000 new businesses per month. I go like, cool, hold my coffee, bring your checkbook. We can do that. So we can now truly create businesses at the birth rate of Africa and exceed that and turn any economy into a thriving oasis. So what you will get today is 5 principles anyone can learn and use now. It's practical. It's not simply motivational theory. Anybody who has ever worked with me will know I'm a practical person. If you can't use what I teach you today, immediately as you finish this webinar, then I have failed. And this will turn you into a captain of your own destiny. Because that's absolutely what you need going forward. Sad reality is that 40% of employers expect to reduce their workforce due to AI and automation. That's the reality that you face going out in a job market. 49% of workers report daily related stress. I think all of us have that. And you have to understand that disruption isn't coming, it is here at the moment. We're living in it. And it's as if we're in this perpetual cycle, ever increasing in speed cycle of uncertainty and change. And you have 2 options that you can go into this. Okay? You can either sit and look at everything and wonder to yourself, okay, let me just sit back, or maybe it'll change, or maybe I'm safe in this. If that's your take, then you are just like that dinosaur on the left-hand side, looking at the meteorite hitting Earth, because what got you here today won't serve you in tomorrow. It won't work anymore. So instead of looking at this wave of artificial intelligence, automation, global instability, and everything else to crush you, you need to become a surfer to surf the wave. And this is exactly what I'm going to teach you today. Now, it's about human adaptability. Now, if you watch, I don't know how many of you watch a lot of interviews on YouTube. I don't know who watches television anymore, but nonetheless, that you watch these interviews and more. If you look from Peter Diamandis, if you look at Peter O'Leary, was it Peter O'Leary? It's O'Leary, that guy. And everywhere, if you look at what they're looking for in people are adaptability. You need to adapt quicker and quicker. Historically, humans had to adapt to changing seasons, or if we migrated from one continent to another, we had to adapt to different weather, geography, and many other things, including diet. But what's coming now is completely different, because historically we had the luxury of time. Now we don't. I was flying back from Durban the other day, and there was a mom a few rows ahead of me with a 3 or 4 month old baby. And I looked at this baby and I thought to myself, I can really not imagine what your future might look like. I have no idea. If it was 5 years ago, I would look at that baby and go like, yeah, you're going to have an interesting life. But think to yourself about your life. You try to think 12 months, maybe 24 months into the future, and it's really getting murky, and it feels like that's just getting shorter and shorter and shorter every week. And you go, how will I navigate this? Because on the one end, you hear the rise of technology, yeah, and it's getting more capable and can do this and now everything else. And now it's making phone calls to your girlfriend and she loves their voice even more. And it's getting scary. On this end, you have people talking about the future. You're like, we're either going to die or it's going to be brilliant. And nobody has an in-betweener. And everybody's sitting in the middle going like, how are we going to navigate this? And that's exactly what I'm going to do in this webinar today. Is I'm going to help you to make sense of this, because it's not about having the answers, ladies and gents. Please don't. I'm not an answer giver, because nobody can tell you what the future looks like. The best thing I can give you is a way to adapt and control your actions to create new opportunities in your life and work environment. Is that something that you would like? Just pop yes in the chat if you go like,
Yes, I would like it very much. I'm very interested.
yes, give me 2 high fives and we can get a go on that. So many people at the moment, if you look at what's happening, they're framing, yeah, go Murta. Oh, Zuleka, absolutely. Thank you, Damien. They feel, if they look at the technology, that I'm shoulder to shoulder in a 100-meter dash with some robot. And you're not going to win that. You know, I've spoken to people who are sure to have their jobs automated and replaced by AI in the next 5 years. And I go, what are you going to do? No, I'm going to learn more and upskill. I'm like, yeah, you're going to upskill against a machine who can read 1 million pages in a minute. That's not going to work. So it's about, you're not in a race against it. What I'm proposing today, ladies and gentlemen, is that now instead of a threat, it becomes your competitive advantage. It becomes a thinking partner. It becomes part of your team. And you'll have a greater understanding about what that might be later on when I show everything to you. So yes, how will we make this shift? So how do we activate human adaptability? Now, entrepreneurial thinking is the engine of human adaptability. Now, some people will go like, but Willem, I'm not here to start a business. Like, I'm not talking about this. Entrepreneurial thinking is not just for startups. It is a life skill, a life and work skill. You can use it in life, love, and business. You can use it to handle issues in your life. You and your husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever their pet name is, you can sit with them and go like, how might we use this thinking model to create a better relationship or family environment for ourselves? And you can take it to work. And it creates opportunities instead of fear. Because what I'm trying to do here, ladies and gentlemen, my mission is to educate the human race to thrive in this uncertain world using entrepreneurial thinking. And that's what you're going to get today. So what entrepreneurial thinking actually means is the capacity to adapt your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors. Thoughts, emotions, behaviors. Those are very important, because if you don't adapt, well, dinosaur for you, okay, you're going to have a meteorite for breakfast. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe you will. So the 5 core principles of entrepreneurial thinking. Simple, and we're going to unpack each one of them, and I'm going to give you a simple model that will be burnt into your mind. I apologize, that you can just go and spool through from ever and ever. So number 1 is agency, resourceability, flow forward, bounce back ability, and adjustability. It's your survival to thrival toolkit in this modern world. And I combined all of this into a simple compass. Because how many of you, just say yes in the chat if you've ever experienced a thing where you were so overwhelmed by a challenge that you were frozen. You thought, okay, I don't know how to move forward. You were so overwhelmed by a sudden shift and change in work environment. Thank you, Myrta. Melanie, absolutely. That you felt like, I have no agency. I am caught in this. And that's the problem. So many of us are caught in that situation. And that's why I brought about, thank you so much, Bonolo, Ikaneng, Everybody, Anna, off, just me now. Okay, cool. In the middle, you have agency. And most people don't feel like they do have agency. But once you in that situation, like, okay, I need to build a new career. I need to find a new way. I need to deal with my stress. I need to deal with my academic success. Whatever the case may be, you go flow forward into the north area. And then you go to adjustability, bounce back ability, and resourceability. And I'll unpack each one of these for you now. So agency is basically you're in control, ladies and gentlemen. Most people function from an external locus of control, not an internal locus of control. External mean the world controls what happens in my life, while an internal control is I'm in control of this. I control what I can and how I might move forward. It's about taking responsibility for where you want to end up. See, with agency, you ride the wave. You become that surfer. Right? But if you're stuck, you can get unstuck. And even if you do have agency already, you want to move in the direction, you can use the same thinking framework as well. Okay. Agency means I focus my energy on what I can control. That is the important thing. Then principle number 2, flow forward. And I'll explain all of these in the simplest of metaphors so that you can never forget it. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with Taoism and the Tao Te Ching, but I like the Taoistic principle of being like water. What happens when you block water? It goes over, under, left, or right. It always finds a way to flow forward. And you have to ask yourself, what is my smallest next step? What is the doable? It's about doing the doable. And not say, well, I don't know what to do, because now you switch your subconscious mind off. It's like, how might I find a way forward? Turn dead ends into detours. There's never anything that blocks your path. There's only a fork in the road. Second one, adaptability is to be like a chameleon. What you need to adapt is how you do things, how you see things, and how you think about things. Apart from that is, what do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? And what do I need to change in what I'm doing? Because the results that you got are from the actions that you took today or that yesterday. And how do you need to change what you're doing, but also how you're seeing things? And then what do I need to especially when you see things differently? I always tell people what we look at and what we see is not the same thing. If I put a policeman in front of a crowd of 20 people, some people will feel safe, some people will feel unsafe, some people will feel anger, and some people will feel absolutely nothing. That person is doing nothing. They're just having a donut. They're just standing there. And we project that onto it. And it's about becoming aware of how you see things. It's about being metacognitive. Then we look at bounce back ability. I think it's a much better word than the resilience, because the resilience is so abstract. It's like mindset. I don't like it. Nobody knows what it means. Bounce back ability, and I love the picture that I'm using there. You could see that kid is gonna, that looks a lot of giggles. But it could best describe as a tree. A tree in the wind. The wind blows and the tree bends, and afterwards it bends back. And over time, the tree gets stronger and stronger. And you have to ask yourself, what do I have to make peace with? What do I have to let go? And how might I reframe the setback? A classic example is a client, one of my coaching clients called me, and this corporate client bullied him, or is in the process of bullying him into a $4,000 discount on a $14,000 job. And they purely taking the mickey because they can. And this guy he could catch snakes. That's how angry he was. And I said, well, look at this. They're paying you to do a test version of your work, which you've never done before. So you get data and see if it works on their risk while you're still getting $10,000. And you don't have to do business with them afterwards. It's, that's fine. Getting paid $10,000 and I'm getting data. Cool. A quick reframe, they did it, got the data, very happy, never did business with them again. Resourceability. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm holding some Lego blocks, if you can see that. Have you ever seen a child look to you and go like, hi, do you have the instructions? No, a kid will never sit with the Lego blocks and ask for instructions. They will just build something. And this boy might build an aeroplane and he will use all his blocks to build that aeroplane. And he go like, oh, damn it, I'm out of resources. Then suddenly the couch becomes the runway and he takes it and he plays with it. But somehow as adults, we have so many resources around us. And then we go like, hi, do you have the instructions for me? And it's about leveraging everything that you have in the physical, in knowledge, and in network. If you look at your house, you have everything that you have at the office in your house. You have a full office block that you're living in. I didn't mean that to make you depressed, okay? Maybe you don't like where you live. But we have all of this. And look at the people that you know. Just pick up the phone, go like, hey, how you doing? What can we do? And ask yourself, what am I not seeing? What am I not noticing? I don't know if many of you have been in the personal development space or that. If you've ever done a lot of personal development, just pop yes or me in the chat. I'd love that. But as a coach and mentor and consultant, it's easy for me to see what somebody needs to do in their life and their business. But it's so difficult for yourself because the eye cannot see the eye. Let me say that again. The eye cannot see the eye because your talents, your skills, your perspectives are so close to you, you can't see it. And it's very difficult. And ask yourself, what am I not seeing, especially when it comes to resources? Yes, the eye cannot see the eye. I love that one. So let's reflect again. 5 core principles. Agency. Be the surfer, not the dinosaur. You are in control, ladies and gentlemen. As soon as you look out the window to blame somebody else for what's happening in your life, you're not in control, you're not taking responsibility or accountability, and then you don't have a reason to complain if it doesn't turn out in your way. You have to do everything in your mind to create the world and life that you want. Flow forward, be like water, go over obstacles. Adjustability, be the chameleon, adapt. Bounce back ability, be the tree that bends, and it's okay, you won't break. And resourceability, just awaken that inner Lego playing child in you again. Especially as an intern, look at what you have, look at everything that you can bring. If you apply these skills and principles in your internship, you will shine. You will stand above the rest. But this is great. You can take this into your life, into your relationships, into work. Even if you want to start your own business, you can use this thinking. So here's the thinking framework again that you can take a look at, and just think of a compass. North is flow forward. What's my next smallest step? What's the smallest step I can take? Working with thousands of entrepreneurs in townships, everybody wants to go from nothing to the super big business. It's like they're trying to jump from one side of a school hall to the other side in one go. And I'm like, it doesn't work in real life, and it's not going to work like this now. So step, small things add up. Adjustability, change things. I once had a very sad phone call with somebody who quit a massive corporate career to go into coaching. And I spoke to this person 2 years into that journey, and they were calling from this flashy coffee shop, and I'm like, wow, that's nice. Yeah, no, this is where I network and meet with clients. I'm like, that's nice. How long have you been doing it? 2 years. Okay, and I ask, answer me one question. Do you have any paying customers? And I said, not one. I said, okay, cool. So you've been doing the same thing for 2 years. Stop that. Okay. Bounce back ability. We all get a good slap every now and then. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's a nice one as well. Thank you, Miranda. And then you go into resourceability. Just take a look at that. What do I have? I have everything around me. How is it not possible to find an opportunity? And Miranda, um, what a beautiful surname, Meriwether. That's a beautiful surname. What would they do? A good question to ask yourself is, how might I? How might I? You know, I submitted a quotation for an incubation program for a mine the other day to incubate new businesses in the mining community. Came back and said, this year's budget does not allow for this. And I said, that's fine. How might we run a smaller proof of concept with the budget available? Instead of going, oh, damn, I went like, hi, I still love you. Let's make a plan. Okay. And it's always go, how might we? It really sparks the thoughts in your subconscious. So the 5 principles work together as a reliable toolkit. You can literally apply this. Go out of this into your internship, into your studies, into life, and apply it. Stop seeing change as something that happens to you. It's just part of life. You need to flow with it and become an empowered architect of possibility. This is so important. How many of you are getting value out of this? Just say yes or no in the chat if you're getting value out of this. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Miss Meriwether. I, every time I say your surname, I want to have a cup of tea in my hand. Okay, absolutely. And that's why I'm doing this work. So if you look at my work in education, I created the keynote and workshops for this as a student success toolkit, where I go into schools and universities and teach this thinking framework to the students. But then we give posters for classrooms and handouts and other assets. And then I work with the, what do you call those guys? Faculty as well, to upskill them so they can help students to deal with academics, employability, and personal issues using this framework. I also do this in corporates. We have outlearn and out-earn your competitors. So where I teach entrepreneurial thinking to staff members, general employees, and even work teams, because now innovation becomes part of the DNA of your organization. This is so important. So if you come across any opportunities, I'm a global speaker. If you know somebody and go like, this guy should speak at your conference, let their people call my people, and our people will arrange that my people speak to their people, or something like that. But yes, if you also want to reach out to me, I do group coaching, one-on-one coaching courses and programs. And now we are on Q&A. If you would be so kind to scan that QR code and give me any feedback on that, you can also leave your contact details there if you want to inquire about working with me on some level. Damien, if you can pop that link that I gave you earlier into the chat, I'd greatly appreciate that if you can. So if you can't scan a QR code because you're on your mobile phone, Damien will copy and paste the link to the survey right there. Thank you, Damien. I really
So,
appreciate
William, while
that.
we wait for our audience, I want our
Mm,
audience to ask you questions, anything that you would like
mm.
William to clarify, to explain. I want to ask you one question because what you can you go back to the slide? No, let's wait people
Yeah, which
to
one?
yes.
No, no, I can.
Where you shared the
The
northwest.
compass.
Yes, thank you. The compass. Yes.
Yes, that one.
Um, because for me, when I see this, I definitely see how powerful this is. These
Thank
are
you.
things that for people like me who I think I'm a bit older than most of the people in our audience, not from everyone, but I think I have a couple
With
of,
skin like that, you lie.
yeah, but I have a couple more years of, I think, that average intern. These things, after like working for a while now, they have become like sort of a truth for me, right? But these were
Mm,
things that I needed to learn and discover that, the power of, like you call it, bounce back, that's essential, right? And in my
mm,
history and my story as a person working, I can see many times where I almost bended and it's like, oh my God, this is not what I wanted. What do I do? And then I bounced back and came back from the ashes, even, more resilient and
mm,
better. But for young people, right? Or those who are just starting, and
mm,
this sounds like very theoretical because yet they have not had that experience to say, I know this is true. How is it a way that we can transform this in something more tangible? You know what I mean?
mm. So make it more relatable to young people in what
Yes.
they
How
might
can I
face
apply
into
this,
that.
or how can I see this is true, in my
Okay.
experience
No,
working or
no,
my
I love that.
internship?
That's a very valid question, Mirta, and I appreciate asking that. While I'm answering this question, if you have any questions, just pop it in the chat. Let us know about that. The important thing, especially with young people, because I'm sure everybody on this call has had some level of setback. And if you think back to whatever that setback might have been, it could have been a heartbreak, it could have been a personal challenge, health, familial, or it could be career, study related, uh, work related around that. Survive that. Now, I want you to think back to that moment. If you had this thinking framework back in that moment where you had extreme stress, where would you be today? How would you differently have handled that? And would that recovery phase been that long or much shorter? Because that's the important thing. So instead of trying to convince you this, all that I want you to do is think back to a past occurrence and think through this. If I had exercised agency and said, okay, what can I do to remedy this? How might I move forward? What do I need to adjust, especially in the bounce back ability? Okay, so they broke my heart. How can I reframe this? How might I do this? Okay, resources. This is hurting as a hole in the head. What resources do I have to deal with this, and how might we move forward with that? Does that answer your question, Berta?
Yes.
And the
Yes,
audience, are
yes.
you guys happy with that? Great.
Yeah,
Any
it makes
questions?
sense.
If you want to unmute, I see somebody's hand is lifted from the beginning.
Yeah, if you
It
have
was
a question, you
Zuleika.
can just still use the mic for sure.
Yes, you can just go on Mike. Go like, hey Mike, can I ask you a question? Just kidding. If you want to unmute and have a chat, please do that. Otherwise, scan the QR code, give me feedback, please. I greatly appreciate that. Connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find me there, Willem Gous. And that's the voodoo that I do. Come on, guys, you have access to me.
Yes,
There's
let's
55
ask,
of you.
what
Don't
is
tell me I
it?
was so amazing, although I might believe it. I'm just kidding. That you have no questions. What are the things that are standing in your way of going to apply all of this now? Oops, a daisy. What's standing in your way of applying this?
Something that I listen a lot in our coaching calls is this really feeling of um, not being ready, like this feeling that there's always something missing. I doubt myself. I don't have the tools. I'm young.
Mm,
I don't know.
mm,
you know?
mm.
How can
I
we
don't have
reframe this?
much. Yes, and that's the key thing is once important thing about agency and moving forward, and movement creates momentum, and that's the important thing. Is as soon as you start moving, you create momentum and you start moving faster and faster and faster. But you have to take that first smallest step, even if it's an inch. And Anna, I see you saying, well, I'm not young and it's hard to start over. I fully get you. You know, I had to restart in 2020 with lockdown. I lost everything. I was 48 years old. And I had to restart again at that age. And I applied everything. I don't teach anything that I have not lived. So, Anna, you can use the same thinking to start over, irrespective of your age. I've seen guys restart at 65. I've seen guys restart at 70. It's just another detour. Yes, Jennifer, I fully agree with you. So, especially Anna, what you need to look at is what's the smallest step you can take into that direction. And to give you an example of the accumulation of small steps, I always tell people, and I write about it in my book as well, if I said, if you want to start a side hustle and you work at it 2 hours a day, an hour in the morning, an hour in the evening, Mirta, doesn't sound like a lot of time, does it? People can easily squeeze it into your
No.
life. No. But if you do that 7 days a week, 365 days a year, over a year, that is equivalent to 91 8-hour workdays. 91 8-hour workdays. Compared to anybody else in the world, who do you think is going to win that race? You are. And that's the power of consistency and the momentum it creates. Okay, cool. Anybody else?
We
Can gather strength and energy to just do it. I believe this is what people are lacking the most. And that is so true. You know, you're sitting there stuck, procrastinating, and it's what's the next smallest step? And it can be as small as I'm just going to make a phone call. That's a simple thing. It can be a phone call. It can be an email. It can be walking up to somebody. Just the sheer action. Just start taking an action because that breaks procrastination. Yes. I hope that helps, Melanie. Because I understand that, you know, that some days we are not there, but ask yourself, what's the minimum smallest thing? You know, my second book that I wrote, Getting Unstuck, is in a, I think it's in a 2-week period, I could count on my one hand the amount of actions that I took. I was just in this funk, completely just this rut. And it was the Friday, no, it was the Sunday. And I decided, no, it was the Friday. And I said, okay, this needs to stop. I'm going to find a way to get out of this and write a book about it. And we're going to do this in 48 hours. So I
wow.
did it. And what you can do, ladies and gents, is if it feels too overwhelming, don't plan the week. Then you go down to a day. And if the day is too much, take it to an hour. And if the hour is too much, take it to 30 minutes. And if 30 minutes is too much, plan the next 5 minutes. Do the 5 minutes. If you need to rest an hour after that, it's up to you. Go and do that. And then you take the next 5 minutes. And then you go into there. At the end of the day, maybe you did 6 or 7 5-minute intervals, but at least you took action for 6 or 7 times that day. And that is a massive difference. Even so small. And ask yourself, what resources do I have? Thank you for sharing. Similar experience of losing my business 2022. I feel you, man. Okay, start all over again. Still have no clarity about the future and the next step, but I have learned so much new stuff that has improved optimism. Very good session. I think so too. We should get that guy again. Yes, I know. Yeah, let's do it today. So yeah.
You're always welcome. You're always here. Absolutely. We have another question here also. The room is getting, I like it. Keep
Yeah,
on coming. How can we foster the culture for adaptability within our teams and organizations?
that's
How
a
can
good
we
thing.
more adaptable? Yeah.
Yes, that's specifically the work that I do in corporates and teams and that, because now we teach the thinking framework to the team. So when the team deals with a challenge, everybody uses the same framework. And the great thing about that, it leads when everybody uses the same framework and thinking method, everybody uses the same language. So there's a consistent, unified language around change, adaptability, and innovation. So it's when everybody has the same language, but also here, I'm going to say something very controversial. Most people get diversity completely wrong. They think it's a gender and race thing, and it has nothing to do with that. It's a diversity of perspectives. So if you look at this glass that I have in my hand, it's a typical round glass. But if I asked you to draw it, you would draw a rectangle. If you were looking from this end, you would draw a circle. Are we looking at the same thing? Yes. Are we seeing the same thing? No. And it's the diversity of perspectives that bring in that lead to more opportunity within your teams. I hope that answers your question. And within the organization as well. Because have you ever thought how the receptionist in a company sees and interacts with customers compared to the salesperson, compared to the manager, compared to the CEO? They all look at the same customer, but they see something completely different. And you can learn, the CEO can learn from the receptionist about a different perspective of the customer that they never had. You follow, recommend? No, there's too much Miranda to honestly look at. I if I may make a suggestion, what I do is I stop going through rabbit holes. So I watch the motoring industry, space, and AI. Those are the three things that I watch instead of a lot. So choose your poison, choose what you want to focus on, and get into that. But also nowadays, you can easily filter stuff. Lefela, you have a question if you want to unmute.
She said, shared it in the chat.
Okay, cool. I'm doing everything I can, make things work for me, but regardless of how hard I try, how much I try to think about outside of the box and tackling it, I keep facing opposition at every single turn. So to drain me, and yeah, what can be done in this instance? Just soldier on, okay. That's a very good question. Lefela, and I'll answer the question before hers just after this. If you don't get pushback, I would worry, because pushback means it's difficult and not everybody can do it. Because if it was easy and everybody could do it, everybody would be doing it, and there would be no value or opportunity in that. So as a speaker, if I get hecklers or I get people who break me down, I go like, I'm onto something. If I get negative feedback, I'm onto something because I am disrupting the status quo. If I do something and nobody kicks against it, I'm maintaining the status quo. So that is part of life. So best advice that I can give you, Lefela, is to make the actions that you take smaller so that they're less psychologically impactful on you and you have more of them instead of big hits, big hits, big hits. if that makes sense. So take smaller steps within your comfort zone of stress, risk, and pressure. Aside adaptability, if you could instantly master a new skill to help the future business, what would it be? I would, yeah, adaptability, resourcefulness. You know, being from Africa, I always tell people Africa's rich in resources and our people are resilient. Our poverty lies in our resourcefulness. And it seems we do the same thing every day, expecting different results. So it's the resourcefulness. If we can unlock the resourcefulness in Africa and other developing economies, our, our countries, our economies, our lives, and the lives of our loved ones would look completely different. Any other questions? No, I love that too, huh? Isn't that beautiful?
I like it because when you do the heart, I can also see
Yeah.
heart, but it doesn't make it
Yeah.
with
So
me,
I can,
right? You see?
yeah, it's a match
Because
there.
Zoom brings now it throws hearts.
Yes.
Um,
Wow.
for me, one thing that I was thinking is
Mm,
I hear a lot that for like the younger generation, let's say those
mhm,
who are 20, 25, they've lived the a whole full digital existence almost,
mhm,
right? Like there's no there's not a moment where they were not connected to the internet. Like me, millennials still had where like people had to come my house, right, to speak with me. This digital experience, how we live differently. Many people have said,
mhm,
okay, this has been quite of an interesting path to develop social skills and interaction
mm,
face to face in
mm.
this more technological world. How can we do to not miss these social skills? If my work is online, if everything I do is through a
Yeah.
computer, how do I get not to
Mm.
get rusty? What are the things that I should never forget about human existence beyond a screen?
Well, the one interesting thing that I'm enjoying about artificial intelligence is in order to really leverage it, you need to learn to speak to it.
Hmm.
And when you learn to communicate to the computer, you learn to communicate
Hmm.
to people.
Hmm.
And a lot of people will go, but Willem, I'm an introvert. I
Hmm.
am the team captain introvert. I'm a global speaker. Does it drain me? Yes. Am I tired afterwards? Absolutely. But the research have found that introverts are the best networkers. So that's a
Hmm.
good thing. So what you need to do there is to forcefully go out, make an effort. Like a friend of mine said the other day, I stopped working 7 days a week and I started working 6 days a week now. And he said, if you're always working, everything is a priority.
Hmm.
And I found, especially in an online environment, it feels like we're always working and then
Yes.
everything is a priority.
Hmm.
So, what I would suggest, Mirta, is to go out socially and make an appointment, put it in your appointment book and go in there and adhere to it. We keep agreements with customers. I keep agreements to attend this webinar, but how many times have you or any of us set agreement, I'm going to do that tonight, and then we never do it? It's amazing. We keep promises to strangers, but we break promises to ourselves. That is not very healthy. So start by honoring agreements with yourself and make an agreement of, I will make this happen. Like me, I said, so Friday afternoon, after my last thing, I'm done and I might start Sunday morning again. Might not. It's my choice. I might even take the weekend off, but that's my choice. But I don't pick up anything between Friday afternoon and Sunday morning, work related. Cool. Boundaries. Boundaries with ourselves, boundaries with others.
Yeah, that
Any
makes
other
sense.
questions? I see we're 2 minutes or a minute away from the hour.
Yeah, any other questions, guys? I think this has given me a lot to think about. Yeah,
Yes. You're going to think
definitely.
about me. the whole day.
Yes, yes,
Thank you.
it's interesting. These are things that I'm a coach myself, and with my coaches, I also work on this. We all have truth for ourselves, right? Things that after
Mm,
a period of time we say, I know this is true for me. And for me lately, there are a couple of things that I've been reflecting that are true to myself, like I know that if I sleep 8 hours, I work better than if I sleep four. This may sound like very obvious, but after a while of convincing me that no, I can only sleep 4 or 5 and I still work fine, then I realized, that's actually not true. I know some
no,
things are true for me.
no.
And the things you shared today are things also that are part of these reflections of things that I know that are true. And I think it's nice to have the opportunity to, reflect and say, okay,
Mm,
have I learned throughout um, period, in this case, my existence. I like to reflect a lot, but also for
mm.
our interns, right? Like some things that
Yeah.
we have discovered throughout our
Yes.
internships, our work experience, that maybe they're truth or maybe they're no longer truth or they're not useful anymore for us, right?
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
these ideas we need to explore and say, maybe it's time to freshen up, to reframe. So I think we have interesting content in this session to reflect on these things that are really useful, right? So I'm
Yeah.
gonna keep on reflecting on your compass. That has given me very interesting, useful
Thank you
reflection
very
material.
much. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Well, guys, so I think we've had a really interesting webinar. Please connect with Willem. He loves connecting with people. Remember, good practice is to send a message. And in this case, you can find him on LinkedIn, send a nice message online saying, hey, Willem, I participated at
Thank
your
you.
webinar. I really enjoyed it. So he knows where you're connecting from, right? And yes, so thank you, everyone. Thank you, Willem. It's been a
Thank you very much,
super
everybody.
pleasure.
Connect with me. Appreciate this.
So, everyone, have a beautiful day in wherever you are in the world. This is a big audience. I'm excited. Everyone is from everywhere, actually, in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America, whatever you are, in Europe. Have a wonderful day. And thank you, Willem, for
Thank you
joining
very
today.
much. Thank you. Have a
Bye,
lovely evening.
guys.
Bye.